Discover how one brave black girl transformed bullying in the bathroom into an incredible uplift. Maya Johnson stood in front of the mirror, the fluorescent lights above casting harsh shadows across her face. Each breath tightened her chest as the echoes of laughter mixed with whispers of cruelty filled her mind. In this small Midwestern high school, the girls' bathroom had morphed into a war zone, an arena where cruelty wore the masks of friendship. The words of her tormentors replayed like a broken record. Nerd, freak. They stung, relentless reminders that fitting in was a tightrope she could fall from at any moment. Yet here she was, a brilliant girl with dreams of groundbreaking discoveries in science, but every effort to shine had been met with mockery. The very walls around her, dull and lifeless, felt like a mirroring of her spirit. Drained, muted by a chorus of hurtful jeers. Could she truly fight back? Every instinct screamed to conceal herself, to shrink and vanish. But another voice rose, echoing her grandmother's teachings: resilience, strength, empowerment. Maya's hands trembled as she adjusted the paintbrush in her fingers. Before this moment, art had remained an untouched sanctuary, but with Ms. Thompson's encouragement, it had transformed into a voice for all of her unexpressed emotions. Bright colors danced in her mind as she envisioned mural after mural, each stroke a declaration that it was okay to be different. But the fear clung to her. What would her classmates say? Would they ridicule her even more? The very thought sent her heart racing. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she stepped back, the murals began to illustrate not just her pain, but also the collective anguish hidden within the stalls. Heart-wrenching emotions surfaced with every brushstroke. Girls whispered their truths, breaking the silence that had shackled them. But amid the beauty, dissent brewed. A faction of classmates whispered insults, a sneer etched upon their faces. This was war. A part of Maya felt like retreating, to silence herself and let her artwork fade into oblivion. The weight of their hostility pressed heavily, a suffocating blanket of doubt. Her mind wrestled with contradictions. This was her chance to show who she truly was, yet the fear of backlash clawed at her resolve. What if she became the target? A lesser part of her cried for safety, while another urged courage. She wanted to scream, to rally against the current that threatened to drown her. As the confrontation loomed closer, Maya felt her heartbeat in her throat. Would she find the courage to defend her mural and claim her voice before it was silenced? The stakes grew higher, and in that moment she realized it wasn't just her art on the line, it was her very existence in this suffocating atmosphere. The bathroom door swung open with a loud crash, and all eyes turned as a figure stepped through. Maya's breath hitched. This was it. The threshold to her future, hanging in the balance. Would she rise to the challenge and wield her dreams as a weapon, or would she falter yet again? As tension filled the air, she prepared to confront her fears, knowing the outcome could reshape not only her world, but also the hearts of those around her. Maya's heart raced as the figure stepped fully into the restroom, revealing itself to be Zoe, one of the ringleaders of the Mean Girls. Confidence radiated from Zoe like a spotlight, and the air thrummed with palpable tension. Maya's palms sweated around her paintbrush, a tool that had become both weapon and shield, its potential for expression battling against her instinct to retreat. Zoe's gaze swept over the mural, a tapestry of vulnerability and strength, each color whispering hope. But instead of appreciation, Maya couldn't help but see contempt flash across Zoe's face. "What is this? A kindergarten art project?" she declared, her voice dripping with mockery. Laughter rippled through the other girls behind her, their collective sneers tightening the knot in Maya's stomach. Yet at that moment something shifted within her. The doubt, the shame, the fear, they began to morph into a resolve she hadn't expected. This wasn't just the confrontation she had dreaded. It was an opportunity to assert her worth. As Zoe's jibes bounced off the mural's vibrant imagery, Maya inhaled deeply through her nose, grounding herself in the dreams that had burned quietly within her. "What you see here isn't a mistake," Maya found her voice rising through the roiling uncertainty. "It's a reflection of all the things you hate to see. Difference, honesty, vulnerability." The words tumbled out with newfound conviction, each one slicing through the heaviness that had been suffocating her. She took a step forward, closing the distance that had felt so insurmountable just moments before. "This mural isn't just mine. It speaks for all of us who felt like we didn't belong here." A hushed silence enveloped the room as shock rippled through Zoe's followers. Maya met Zoe's eyes, unwavering. In that moment, Maya saw not just an antagonist, but a mirror reflecting back her own insecurities, that fear, that need for validation. It was almost humanizing, a moment of clarity that sliced through the hostility. But would that understanding matter? Would it be enough to change the hostile environment she had lived in for so long? Maya could see the gears turning in Zoe's mind, but she had no time to dwell on the implications. She had taken this step, and whatever came next, it was crucial for her growth. "What did you expect? Some pretty picture that hides the truth?" Maya pressed on, emboldened by the strength swelling within her. "This art is my rebellion against your methods. It's more powerful than you could ever acknowledge." Zoe's expression fluctuated between annoyance and something resembling uncertainty. The overwhelming laughter of before faded into something more contemplative among the onlookers. Was it possible her bravery might resonate with them? Maya grappled with the flicker of ambition igniting inside her, a yearning not only to defend herself, but to inspire others to rise as well. As Zoe opened her mouth, ready to hurl another insult, Maya made a supreme choice. She had come this far, not just for herself, but for every young girl who had suffered in silence. Taking a step back, she raised her paintbrush high and declared, "I challenge you to see what true beauty looks like. Strength isn't found in cruelty, but in embracing our scars." Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Miss Thompson, drawn by the commotion. The clash of wills was interrupted, and the gathered girls slowly turned toward the teacher. Would Maya's moment of defiance be recognized, or would it all be swept away under the guise of authority? Maya's heart thundered in her chest as she stood poised at the precipice of change, not just for herself, but for all the girls whose voices had been stifled. Would Ms. Thompson support the courage flickering in her chest, or would her intervention snuff out the flame of rebellion? The question loomed heavy in the air, the kind of question that could redefine everything. As Ms. Thompson stepped into the restroom, the atmosphere shifted. The tension that had crackled like static transformed into a heavy silence. Every eye turned away from Maya's mural and towards the teacher, a figure of authority that could either validate or nullify her fierce declaration. Maya's breath caught in her throat, a mixture of hope and anxiety coursing through her. "Girls, what's going on?" Ms. Thompson asked, scanning their faces. Maya wondered if she could read the dynamics at play, the palpable fear radiating from the girls who had once mocked her, the pride sparking in the eyes of a few who had dared to stand beside her in this moment of rebellion. Even Zoe seemed caught off guard, her smirk faltering as the power shifted. Maya felt an urge to explain, to unravel the emotions roiling in her chest. But would Ms. Thompson understand? This was far more than just an art project. It was a declaration of existence, a battle cry against the suffocating norms that had once silenced her. Inhaling deeply, Maya took another step closer to the mural. "This isn't just my art, it's our message," she asserted, locking eyes with Ms. Thompson. Each word fell from her lips with renewed intensity. It shows who we are and what we've endured together. I'm tired of feeling like I need to hide or apologize for who I am. This mural, it's an expression of strength, not weakness. Zoe shifted uncomfortably, the walls of her facade beginning to crack. Maya could sense the girl's internal conflict as the impact of her words hung in the air. Ms. Thompson's expression softened, and Maya could see a flicker of understanding emerge. But the teacher's response would be pivotal. It could either ignite a movement or restore the status quo. Ms. Thompson stepped closer, her eyes scanning the mural. The bright colors were more than mere pigments on a wall. They bubbled with the raw emotions of hurt and resilience, and perhaps even hope. Maya, this is impressive. It takes courage to share your truth. A ripple of surprise swept through the room at the unexpected support. With each second, Maya's heart raced, her pulse thrumming with the rhythm of triumph mixed with trepidation. She recognized she was standing on the edge of something monumental, yet uncertainty lurked. Would this truly change anything? "What are you going to do about it?" Zoe sneered, trying to reclaim her dominance, but the venom in her voice matched none of the previous bravado. What Maya sensed in that moment wasn't fear, it was desperation. The balance of power had shifted, and for the first time, the girls who had once followed Zoe's lead were starting to look at Maya, perhaps even questioning their own beliefs of worth. "I'm not here to tear anyone down," Maya replied, resolute. "We can all rise together if we choose to embrace our differences instead of mock them." The words resonated, echoing softly in the space that surrounded them. To Maya's astonishment, one girl from Zoe's group stepped forward, hesitantly at first, but with a resolve that mirrored Maya's. With an outstretched hand, she pointed to the mural. "Can we help?" Maya was momentarily stunned at the rapid pace of transformation occurring. In that flickering moment of vulnerability, Maya discovered her own capability to inspire change. It wasn't merely about her art or voice, it was about what happened when she dared to challenge the narrative that had bound them all. "Of course, this was meant to be a collective story," Maya said, her smile breaking through her earlier tension. "Wrap this up, please, ladies," Ms. Thompson interjected, her tone shifting to one of authority. "Let's talk about what this means for our school community moving forward." As they began to discuss the possibilities, Maya felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this moment was the beginning of something much larger than herself, something that reached beyond the confines of this bathroom wall. But before she could fully grasp the trajectory of this newfound adventure, Zoe's expression shifted from one of calculated hostility to something unrecognizable, a mixture of fear and introspection. "What happens next?" she asked, hesitantly stepping back into the fray. Maya's stomach twisted with anticipation. Would this be the beginning of a true confrontation, one that would challenge not only Zoe, but the underlying currents of their relationships? Would her moment of courage prove worthwhile, or would it force her to grapple with the fallout of her defiance? As discussions ignited around her, Maya stood firm, contemplating the next step she would need to take. And deep within, she knew that more than just her own fears would unravel. It was about the power of unity and the truths they were all ready to face. Maya stood in the dimly lit restroom, the vibrant mural glowing behind her like a beacon of change. The conversations that began to swirl around her felt foreign, yet exhilarating. As Ms. Thompson ushered everyone to sit on the floor and engage in dialogue, Maya found herself at the nexus of creation and collaboration. This was not just her art anymore. It was becoming the heart of a movement. If only they could harness it correctly. With every passing moment, Maya could feel the weight of expectations bearing down on her. The mural was no longer just her reflection. It was a battleground where resilience met vulnerability. She glanced at Zoe, whose expression was now a complex mosaic of resignation and muted curiosity. Maya knew this was a pivotal moment, not just for herself, but for everyone in the room. "Let's talk about what's happening here," Miss Thompson urged, breaking the tension. "Maya's mural is a powerful statement about identity and unity. How can we take this message beyond these walls?" As other girls tentatively shared their thoughts, Maya felt a swell of confidence. She listened intently when one girl described how she had been bullied for her looks, echoing Maya's feelings of isolation. "I felt like no one would understand," she said. "But this mural is showing me that I wasn't alone." With each shared experience, Maya recognized her own journey unfolding amongst the stories. The desire to foster connection started to crystallize into a more defined vision. She wanted to use her voice to uplift the suppressed narratives underlying each student's struggles. "Perhaps we could create a series of murals throughout the school," Maya proposed. "Each can represent a different girl's story or struggle. They could inspire a dialogue everywhere, not just here." A chorus of murmurs followed, excitement replacing the earlier wariness. A girl from Zoe's clique voiced her agreement. "That's actually really cool. Each mural could highlight the stories we've tried to hide." Maya's idea sparked a palpable shift in momentum. Someone suggested they involve other classmates to help paint and gather stories for the murals. Each suggestion fueled Maya's determination to break free from the confines of one individual expression to embrace a collage of shared experiences. But amid this burgeoning consensus, Zoe remained silent, her discomfort hanging thick in the air. A nagging doubt crept into Maya's mind. What if the former Queen Bee turned against her once again? What if this was merely a facade, a way to undermine her transformation before it truly began? The girls began to break into smaller groups, animatedly discussing who would contribute what, but Maya's attention remained squarely on Zoe. She knew she had to address this simmering tension before it engulfed their new enterprise. "Are you okay, Zoe?" Maya ventured, her voice steady yet gentle. Her challenge was not to provoke, but to understand. Zoe looked at Maya, her eyes flickering between anger and bafflement. "Why are you still trying to include me? I was awful to you. Aren't you supposed to hate me?" Maya hesitated. This was the confrontation she had feared, confronting the person who had deepened her insecurities. The old patterns urged her to retreat, to protect herself from potentially more hurtful remarks. But the mural had taught her courage. "I don't want to hate you," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "I want to show that we can transform our pain into something beautiful. This mural is about all of us," she added, her sincerity permeating the raw hostility. Zoe blinked rapidly, the armor she had worn so long starting to crack as vulnerability washed over her features. I don't know how to change," she admitted, the wall between them beginning to dissolve. This moment seemed almost surreal to Maya, a moment where empathy met conflicted pasts. Yet it was crucial, a stepping stone toward not just her growth, but Zoe's too. "Then let's learn together," Maya offered, devoid of judgment. "We can help each other." Maya's heart raced as she watched Zoe grapple with the notion of authenticity and acceptance. The tapestry of their shared struggles now seemed to weave a broader narrative, one that could bring about healing for both of them. As Zoe nodded slowly, the sound of a school bell echoed outside, pulling them back into reality. But the shift in dynamics was unmistakable. Maya's resolve solidified. She would not only lead with artistry, but also carve paths for others as well. Little did she know, however, that confronting Zoe would unleash more than just personal growth. Soon, they would all be faced with the deep-rooted challenges and fears that lay beneath their facade, both internal and external. What would it mean for Maya and her classmates when those hidden conflicts finally surfaced? The journey into the depths of their identities had only just begun, and soon they would have to reckon with the truth of who they truly were. Maya stood amidst the buzz of voices, her heart racing with a mix of hope and anxiety. The realization that they might embark on this artistic journey together was intoxicating, yet the weight of responsibility loomed large. She was not just an artist anymore. She had transformed into an initiator of a movement, a role that both inspired her and terrified her. As the girls broke into smaller groups, Maya noticed the divided clusters aligning themselves with different emotions. Some discussed their reflections with enthusiasm, while others hesitated, consumed by doubts. Zoe's group was especially quiet. The tension between Maya's rising confidence and Zoe's residual apprehension seemed to amplify the air thick with unspoken fears. "Maya, are you sure this is a good idea?" One girl named Lila, a close friend of Zoe, whispered to her as they gathered materials for their brainstorming. "What if Zoe ends up sabotaging it? She's always been the one in control." "Let's not assume the worst," Maya said, hoping to project more conviction than she felt. "Zoe wants to help, too. She just needs time to figure out what that means." Such declaratory statements drummed up self-doubt. Who was she to advocate for someone else's growth? But in the instant, Zia, a quiet girl with a passion for painting, joined their conversation with an idea reflecting Maya's vision. Her words brought clarity. "What if we made our first mural about overcoming those fears? It could start with our own stories instead of hiding behind them." Maya's heart fluttered at the suggestion. They could dig deeper, exploring the very feelings that weighed them down. This intersection of vulnerability and creativity could lead them to confront their fears directly. However, the challenge remained, guiding a fractious group out of their comfort zones without letting her own insecurities overshadow the endeavor. "Let's put together our stories on paper first," Maya suggested, rallying the others. "We can each share a moment when we felt unseen, like no one understood us. It could empower us to unleash that on the mural." As they wrote, Maya encountered her own past lurking in the recesses of her mind. The hurtful comments, the feeling of dawning invisibility whenever she walked into a chaotic lunchroom. Each word etched on the paper felt like an alchemical process, turning pain into potential. But how would she ensure Zoe confronted her own past without feeling betrayed by those experiences? Moments later, a slamming door pulled Maya from her thoughts. Zoe emerged from the back room, her face red and eyes brimming with unshed tears. Lila and the others exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. What was happening? Maya felt a rush of protective instinct and uncertainty. "Why are we even trying?" Zoe's voice trembled, cutting through the uncertainty like a knife. "What if no one cares about these stories? What if we fail? I don't belong in this." The vulnerability in her tone was palpable. Maya stepped forward, heart pounding. This was it, the confrontation she had braced herself for, the moment when everything previously unspoken could crumble or be rebuilt. "Zoe," she began, grounding herself in conviction, "this is exactly why we need to do this. Sharing our stories allows us to break the cycle. We can't transform if we don't first acknowledge what holds us back. You are not alone in this." Zoe remained rigid, the uncertainty flickering in her gaze, as if a battle raged within. Maya understood. Trust was fragile, and retreating to silence would be easier. But not for her. She wouldn't allow that familiar cycle to persist. "Let's do it together," Maya pressed gently. "Everyone is scared. We can show each other it's okay, that vulnerability doesn't equate to weakness." Maya felt the pressure of countless eyes on them, the group's silent anticipation wrapping them both in an invisible cocoon. Zoe's walls began to crack, and for a moment progress felt imminent. But just as the tension hinged on breakthrough, the air shifted. A loud, mocking laugh erupted from someone in the hallway. The sound drilled into her resolve, a stark reminder of the external judgments that could undo their moment. Maya's heart sank. Would the mural be seen as a sanctuary or a target? The weight of Zoe's history combined with her own struggles loomed on the threshold, threatening to steal their newfound momentum. What would it take for Maya to pull Zoe through this vulnerability without losing herself? And how could they confront the pain lurking just beyond the safety of their mural? As she processed that looming question, Maya knew the true challenge was more formidable than she imagined. How could they wield vulnerability as strength without faltering under the judgment of others? The next chapter of their journey was about to unfold, and in that uncertainty lay a flicker of hope waiting to ignite. Maya stood at the crossroads of possibility and fear, grappling with the weight of responsibility pressing down on her chest. The laughter from the hallway still echoed in her mind, a stark reminder of the judgments that threatened their collective dream. She looked at Zoe, whose face was still twisted with a mix of anger and sadness, and felt a surge of urgency to bridge the gap between them. "Maya," she said, voice shaking, "what if everyone just thinks we're being silly? Our stories don't matter to anyone but us." Maya felt that familiar tension tightening her stomach, but there was something electrifying about Zoe's vulnerability, sparking the air between them. This was a moment she recognized as pivotal. "What if they do?" she asked, not to dismiss Zoe's fears, but to confront them head-on. "But what if some of us, even just one, finds strength in those stories? We owe it to ourselves to try." Zoe's eyelids fluttered, revealing a flicker of conflict. Maya took a deep breath, tapping into her own well of courage. "The world has tried to silence us long enough. Every story we share holds power. It's our choice to rewrite the narrative." The group, now quiet and listening, felt like a silent witness to their exchange. Maya glanced at her peers, searching for any glimmer of understanding. She saw faces etched with curiosity, doubt, but also hope. It was now or never. "Let's make this mural together," she continued, speaking with more conviction than she felt. "It's not just a mural, it's a canvas for our truths. We paint with our emotions, our fears. Let's show everyone what we've been hiding." Zoe's expression shifted subtly, caught between skepticism and something else, perhaps a hint of relief. Maya extended her hand, an invitation filled with both challenge and solace. "Draw your story with me, Zoe. We can face our fears together." Drawing a deep breath, Zoe hesitated, but took a step forward. For Maya, the world blurred around them, and at that moment, courage and vulnerability intertwined. Her heart raced at the potential for growth lying ahead. As the other girls stepped closer, Maya proposed a brainstorming session. They began outlining their fears on the large paper spread on the floor, their collective voices mixing when they shared stories of insecurities and feelings of invisibility. Each moment of honesty was a thread, weaving them into a tapestry rich with emotional depth. Sia spoke of being dismissed by teachers, while Lila recounted the sting of her friend group drifting away, like shadows fading into the morning light. For every moment recounted, Maya felt a piece of herself stitching into their shared narrative. But still, there lay a weight in the acceptance of their truths. She needed to find a way to bring Zoe into this light without overwhelming her. Amidst the catharsis, the door swung open again, and in walked a smirk-laden face, a classmate known for cutting remarks and inciting chaos. "What's this? A pity party?" His voice dripped with derision, challenging their fledgling vulnerability. Maya's spine went rigid, 1,000 scenarios flashing through her mind. She could feel Zoe tense beside her, and the opportunity for doubt consumed the air. How would they respond? Would they retreat? Or could they transform this attack into strength? "Maybe you should join us," Maya said impulsively, tapping into a spirit of defiance. "It takes more courage to share your truth than to hide behind humor." His laughter faded into surprise, leaving an uncomfortable silence. Zoe's eyes flickered, igniting a spark of rebellion. They stood at a precipice, Judgment loomed, yet amidst the uncertainty, questions lingered like embers poised to ignite. Would confronting their bully strengthen their resolve, or would the facade of acceptance unravel? As the looming shadows of judgment darkened the room, Maya sensed a pivotal moment approaching, demanding her to delve deeper. She wondered, would they rise to the occasion, or would vulnerability give way to retreat when faced with the harshness of reality? This moment could redefine not only Maya's understanding of herself, but also the very dynamic with Zoe. Both were on the verge of a profound transformation. Only time would tell who would emerge stronger. The silence in the room thickened, an unexpected cloak woven from defiance and uncertainty. The bully, caught off guard by Maya's response, shifted uneasily. His bravado wavered, and for a fleeting moment, Maya glimpsed the vulnerability behind his mockery. Yet she remained grounded, drawing from the newfound sense of purpose she had gathered from her peers. "Isn't it better to make art than throw around insults?" Maya pressed on, seeking to redirect the energy towards something constructive. Each word was imbued with the weight of unspoken truths, expanding the radical idea that their vulnerabilities could morph into strength. Zoe stood beside her, processing the confrontation, her face a canvas of apprehension and intrigue. Maya could sense her battle, teetering on the edge between fear and the desire for autonomy. Would this small act of courage spark a shift within Zoe, or would it push her further into her shell? The bully hesitated, glancing around as if waiting for support from his peers, but his smirk crumbled under the intensity of the collective gaze. "Yeah, right. What does a mural even do?" he scoffed, attempting to regain control over the dialogue. But there was a note of uncertainty in his voice that Maya could exploit. "A mural tells stories. It depicts our truths," Maya replied, each syllable a thread weaving their shared narrative. "It holds a power that words alone can't express. Why don't you join us and share yours?" The challenge was unmistakable, daring him to strip away the laughter and expose his own fears. The abrupt turn in the dynamic stunned everyone. Maya's heart raced. Was she really challenging him to reveal himself? And yet, beneath her anxiety, a revolutionary exhilaration surged. This wasn't merely about her redemption, but crafting a space where each individual could confront their authenticity. Zoe's eyes softened as she processed Maya's courage. A deep breath escaped her lips, and Maya could almost hear unspoken words clattering inside her head. Suddenly, Zoe stepped forward, shaking off the remnants of her earlier fears. "You don't have to be afraid of our stories. They define us, not your comments." A tremble ran through her voice, but firmness anchored her stance. Maya felt the shift in the atmosphere, an updraft swirling around them as Zoe found her voice. It was a revelation. Zoe had strength emanating just beneath the surface, waiting for a moment to explode. The bully's bravado faltered further, and his disrespectful demeanor softened into something resembling vulnerability. "I'm just messing around. No need to get all deep." The retreat to sarcasm signified a collapse of his facade, and it gave Maya the space to pivot. "Messing around can hurt people. We all have stories that matter. For instance," she gestured toward one of the drawings where Lila had sketched an empty playground. "What do you see when you look at that?" He hesitated, eyes assessing the mural. A flicker of understanding crossed his face, but it was darkened by a flash of anger, as though he feared acknowledging their pain could shift something in himself. Maya's strategy pushed against the boundary of confrontation and connection. Was she truly ready to dismantle their predator-prey dynamic? Was it ethical to evoke empathy from someone who thrived on the very pain they sought to share? "Come on, this is stupid," he grunted, stamping out the flicker of honesty. But it was too late. Maya had planted a seed of doubt in his own narrative. As it settled into the space between them, she understood that they stood on the brink of an important truth, not just about each other, but about their very existence. In the charged silence that followed, Maya's exhilaration met with fear anew. Her heart clamored, amplifying her uncertainty. Could they forge a connection, or would this be another assault, another retreat? There lay before her the prospect of transformation, not just for Zoe, but for the bully too. As tension pooled thickly in the air, Maya prepared for the unknown path ahead. Would they choose to stand their ground, forging collective strength from shared vulnerability, or fall deeper into the shadows of their fears? The question hung, shimmering and jagged, ready to shatter. The moment hovered, their stories intertwined with every heartbeat, threatening to ignite into something greater than themselves. Would this confrontation lead to a newfound understanding, or would it spiral into chaos, shattering their fragile connection? The weight of Maya's words settled heavily in the room, a palpable charge igniting the air. She could sense that everyone was holding their breath, caught in the delicate balance of conflict and possibility. The bully shifted again, clearly torn between the mockery ingrained in him and the emerging vulnerability that Maya had finally pried open. What if he truly opened up? What would that mean for her? As she stood confronting him, Maya realized she was not only talking to him, but also to herself, to the facets of her identity that had been misunderstood and marginalized. Each moment of hesitation served as a reflective lens, revealing the complexity of human interaction and the innate struggle for acceptance. Suddenly, Zoe chimed in again, her voice steadier this time. "If you think it's stupid, then you obviously don't know how to connect. But I do, and I'm tired of letting your words tear people down." The fervor in Zoe's voice surprised Maya. She had never witnessed such conviction from her friend before. Zoe's courage reverberated through Maya, nurturing a flicker of hope. Maybe this wasn't just about battling a bully. Maybe they were both discovering their own empowerment in the process. Maya's fears began to recede, replaced with a strategic clarity. "Let's make this a challenge then," Maya proposed, testing the waters to build upon the tension that was thickening the air. "You said it's stupid to share stories. Why not prove us wrong? You tell us about your truth, and we'll share ours too." She knew well that this could give the bully power over their story. Yet the risk felt necessary. Exposing fragility in both directions could unravel the need for bravado and bravado-based bullying. The bully scoffed. "You really think I'd do that?" But there was a tremor in his voice, suggesting he might be intrigued. A subtle shift in his stance revealed more than just reluctance. It was fear, the kind rooted deep in the fear of vulnerability that everyone was facing, whether they knew it or not. "I think you could," Maya shot back with confidence she didn't fully feel. "You might surprise yourself." Doubt danced across his features, but the eyes of the onlookers held him as if they were all daredevils on the brink of an exhilarating leap. It was surreal. What had started as a chaotic confrontation was beginning to morph into a profound examination of self, both for Maya and her adversary. What surprised Maya even more was how comfortable she felt. With each interaction, her voice grew more assured. Was this the growth she had long sought? She pushed the boundaries of her resolute self, embracing the discomfort of the moment, inviting connection where there had once been division. Then from somewhere deep within, she conjured a daring thought. "We could even paint it, let it flow on the wall. After all, what have we got to lose?" The mural wasn't just a canvas for others. It became her personal platform, a way to assert her narrative while intertwining it with others. Would he accept her invitation? Would he reveal something within himself that could alter the course of their interaction? Maya's heart raced at the possibility. In that charged space, amid the encroaching uncertainty, a new question flickered to life. Could this single act of risk become the catalyst for real change? With keenness already bubbling just below the surface, she scanned the room, feeling the collective energy suffusing in the air. The moment of truth was approaching rapidly, and the outcome was anyone's guess. Would the bully's facade crack entirely, revealing an authentic voice locked within, or would he retreat back to mockery's safety net, leaving them all to grapple with the remnants of the confrontation? Maya refocused her attention on him, ready for whatever decision he made next. But deep down, another realization dawned. Whatever the repercussions, she was prepared to stand her ground and face the results. The statement had shifted from being about mere defiance to a declaration of empowerment. Which path would they walk? Would they forge deeper connections, or fall victim once more to their toxic cycles? The tension thickened, pregnant with the potential for transformation, as Maya prepared for the unexpected leap ahead. The air in the room was electric, charged with conflicting emotions as Maya waited. The bully's expression shifted from defiance to uncertainty. She could see the struggle within him as he grappled with the uncharacteristic vulnerability her challenge had conjured. Was he as trapped as she had once been, locked behind layers of bravado and fear? "Paint it," he finally replied, his voice quiet, yet edged with skepticism. "What makes you think anyone would want to hear what I have to say?" His question was not a denial, it was an opening, revealing a faint glimmer of curiosity. It hit Maya that her proposition had pierced through the armor of his self-imposed isolation. Did he truly think his story lacked value? The realization washed over her, igniting a newfound determination. She had been there, feeling invisible in a crowd, her thoughts mere whispers drowned out by louder voices. "Because everyone has a story," she asserted, leaning forward slightly, her heart pounding not just from anxiety, but from an unexpected sense of purpose. "Your story matters too, and sharing it could change everything." Around them, the tension persisted, thickening the air as the crowd cast furtive glances, unsure of their own stakes in this uncomfortable dynamic. Maya's words hung like an unspoken challenge, echoing back to the insecurities that plagued them all, and she felt a pang of solidarity among her peers, even if they appeared to be on the fringes of this moment. The bully hesitated. "And then what? You think that makes everything better? That I'd suddenly be not a jerk anymore?" "Maybe," Maya responded, grappling with her thoughts but recognizing the opportunity she had before her. "Or maybe it makes you human. We're all just trying to figure things out. If we can learn something about each other, that's a start." His gaze met hers, flickering with doubt and vulnerability. "What if I don't know how?" "Then we figure it out together," she urged, reflecting on her own journey. Sharing this confrontation felt like a rite of passage, a step towards something more authentic. She had spent years being shackled by expectation, and now she realized confronting these moments head-on could yield a strength she hadn't fully recognized in herself. Before he could respond, Zoe interjected, "I'll go first. I've always thought that I'd never measure up. My family expected me to be perfect, but I messed up too many times to count." Zoe's unexpected disclosure stirred the crowd. Maya felt a shift in the atmosphere. Vulnerability had a strange way of forging connection, even among the most unlikely people. The bully's facade softened further, the tension in his shoulders easing just slightly. One by one, others began to murmur their own experiences, tentative yet hopeful. Maya listened intently, recognizing the threads of commonality woven through their stories. The girl who had once felt invisible now found herself in a position of empowerment, driving the narrative toward intimacy rather than division. This gathering felt alive, brewing with the potential for change. But as they shared, a flicker of doubt crept into Maya's mind, a reminder of her prior fears. What if the bully decided to retreat into mockery, dismissing their openness as weakness? Would she have the resolve to continue this journey toward authenticity if faced with scorn? Just then, the bully cleared his throat. "Fine," he said, lowering his gaze, a mix of resignation and determination flickering across his features. "I'll share, but it's not going to be easy." The challenge lay before them, and as he prepared to speak, Maya's determination solidified into something deeper. This wasn't merely about him or her, but a broader journey for each individual present. She realized the potential was limitless, even if the immediate future felt uncertain. Would his confession ignite a deeper understanding, or would it become a moment reclaimed by scorn? Maya locked her eyes onto him, ready to confront whatever truth he would unveil, bracing herself for the unpredictable path ahead. Would they transcend their roles, or was the chaos of their past destined to repeat? The implications lingered heavily in the air as silence enveloped the room, poised for revelation. Maya stood at the brink of transformation, the air around her crackling with anticipation as the bully prepared to share his truth. The world around them faded. All she could focus on was his face, a canvas of conflict, uncertainty, and perhaps a hint of vulnerability. "I guess I've always felt like I had to prove something," he finally said, each word bearing the weight of hidden struggles. "My dad always pushed me to be tough, to never show weakness. But it's exhausting. I act like a jerk because it's easier than admitting I'm scared." Maya's heart raced. His words weren't just an admission of guilt. They were a mirror reflecting the burdens many of them carried. The room shuddered with understanding, and as his voice continued to unravel the tightly wound threads of bravado, Maya realized they were shaping a narrative far greater than any of them had anticipated. Every admission shared in that cramped restroom felt like an act of courage, an act of reclamation. "Maybe if we all just talked more," Zoe added, her earlier hesitance giving way to an unfamiliar resolve, "we could all feel less alone." The atmosphere shifted from a battleground to a sanctuary, each member in the circle contributing their story in kind. Maya watched as the bully's previous arrogance melted away, replaced by something raw and unexpectedly relatable. It was proof that vulnerability didn't equate to weakness, but rather it was a shared strength that forged connections. Maya felt herself swelling with pride, not just for her bravery, but for how every girl, Zoe, Lila, Zia, were navigating their own truths. Each confession stirred a ferocious need for change, allowing them to enter a new narrative space. Suddenly, hope filled the restroom, a feeling she had long thought extinguished. They moved to their mural, a canvas waiting to breathe life into their collective stories. "Let's paint our truths," Maya declared, her voice imbued with firmness. "Let's allow our experiences to find a home here." The others came alive with enthusiasm, brushes gripped tightly in resolute hands. They began blending colors, each stroke a representation of hope, vibrant hues entwined with shades of struggle and resilience. It was no longer just Maya's vision. It belonged to everyone in the room. As they painted, the atmosphere reverberated with aspirations and dreams. The walls around them absorbed the energy of their honesty. The mural became a testament to overcoming bullying, to embracing differences, capturing not just their pain, but their triumphs too, a collective story illuminating the strength in their vulnerability. Days turned to weeks, and their mural became the centerpiece of their high school. Word spread, and students visited not just to marvel at the art, but to engage in uncomfortable conversations about acceptance and understanding. Each student who contributed found a voice, an opportunity to reshape the school dynamic, moving away from mocking and toward empathy. Maya's resolve solidified into maturity. She had become a leader, not just in art, but in authenticity. Her confidence blossomed in her academic pursuits as well, leading her science club and participating in competitions that once felt unreachable. Recognition followed, a scholarship awarded for her innovative projects, an opportunity to attend a prestigious summer program where she could hone her skills and ideas. Zoe found her place, stepping forward as a supportive ally rather than an opponent. The friendship that emerged forged a path for deeper discussions. They tackled issues, not just in their school, but beyond, promoting an inclusive environment that extended to other grades. Years later, standing in front of a newly reinstated mural painted over the faded first one, Maya couldn't help but smile, a mixture of nostalgia and pride. Where there had once been pain and ridicule, there was now growth and acceptance. She had conquered more than just a battle against bullying. She had emerged a force, a beacon of empowerment, transforming her narrative alongside those who had walked with her. What had begun in the sterile confines of a school restroom had unfolded into a movement, a story that promised to resonate for years to come, a testament to resilience, creativity, and the vital necessity of vulnerability. As she prepared to leave the school that day, Maya felt a burst of gratitude, a recognition that true achievement lay not just in individual progress, but in elevating those around her. This was the moment of triumph, clarity, and accomplishment she had fought for, a true manifestation of her dreams unfolding in a reality stark against her painful past. You need to subscribe now to experience more transformative stories like Maya's. This is the moment to show your support for personal growth and resilience. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and ensure we reach those who need this inspiration. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who could benefit from the powerful narrative of overcoming adversity. Let's spread the message together.